In the intense world of competitive body painting, you can either keep your cool or turn up the heat.
This ain't no illusion, babe. Yeah, you'll have it made.
It's a sizzling Season 3 of Skin Wars. The art of body painting is more powerful than ever. 12 of the most talented artists from around the world will push themselves week after week,
You painted your heart out.
proving who is brilliant with a brush.
Just amazing. Loved it.
I came here to win.
And who can't handle the pressure.
I'm freaking out.
How dare you disgrace this competition with your bull?
Do you want to lead the competition?
In the end, the winner takes all, $100,000
100,000 G's, baby.
and the ultimate title of Skin Wars champion.
Hey guys.
Hi. Thank you for being here, Rebecca. Happy Monday.
Yes, happy Monday indeed.
So we have in front of us the original Mystique from X-Men. And obviously you had a lot of body painting and prosthetic experience from that. How did you apply that background, to hosting
I get
this
it.
show?
Well, obviously it was a subject matter that I felt close to, something I have a lot of experience in. On our show, I tend to worry about the models more than anything because, you know, it's a lot of hours. We're literally standing around watching paint dry for a lot of it. And
Like literally paint dry.
Literally
Yeah.
watching paint dry. And some of our models, when they've been standing around for like 16 hours, they drop like flies. So I'm like, have you had enough to eat today? Are you cold? Are you know? But I was also the first model painted for the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And back then, that first painting we did was a 13-hour paint job. The first time we tested the Mystique makeup was also a 13-hour paint job. We eventually got it down to 9 hours. But on our show, we're throwing out these challenges. You've got 5 hours to create a head-to-toe, front-to-back, 360-degree design, and you've got to do it in 4 hours. And they're nailing it. And I'm like, what happened? Why is it so fast now? Because
Can I go back in
my
time and
day,
do it?
yeah. And I think it has to do with all the airbrushing. Also, a lot of the Mystique costume was prosthetics. You know, I mean, 65% of my body was covered in silicone prosthetics. But it's come such a long way since back then. And you know, so it's fun. It's fun to have a front row seat in this medium that I feel very close to.
And you've been painted twice on the show, so take me through the entire process from start to finish for you as the subject.
As the canvas myself?
Yes.
Well, we are dealing with standards and practices. So
This is fascinating, you guys. This is so interesting.
So we wear, all the models, including myself, we wear a thong, you know, cover everything down here. We wear pasties. Here's the weird thing about standards and practices. When we have male models on our show, they are not allowed to show their buns. The women are allowed to wear G-strings. The men have to keep their tushes covered.
So they
Isn't
have
that
to wear
weird?
special, like, flesh
No, they have to. Well, yeah, they wear special flesh-colored underwear.
Amazing.
It's so weird.
Weird, amazing, bizarre,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So the time they painted you to be a tiger.
So
Yes.
Natalie Fletcher, our season 1 winner, painted me for our season 2 promo as a tiger in the jungle, where all the trees were also models camouflaged into the trees to look like trees, and they all start coming to life. Avi Ram, our season 2 runner-up, just painted me for our season 3 promo as Fire and Ice. So Ice was a 2-hour paint job, and Fire was a 4-hour paint job. And he's an airbrush master. In fact, his Twitter is @airbrushhero or something like that. He's just so fast. So we were in and out, and he nailed it. He did such a beautiful job.
Is it uncomfortable?
It is not uncomfortable. The strangest thing about being painted is you feel completely covered up once you're painted. You do not feel naked. And you see that in the body language of the models on the show. I remember when I was doing Mystique and people would be like, wow, I can't believe you're totally naked. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm 100% covered up. You know, obviously that's the effect, but it's very comfortable.
How do you guys find the competitors?
How do we find what?
The competitors.
Oh, I think at this point, we've got a producer who's in charge of that. And at this point, a lot of artists from other mediums are applying to be on the show, and our painters come from all sorts of backgrounds. They come from graffiti backgrounds, from automotive painting, from animation, tattoo artists. Some are classically trained painters. They're all coming from very, very, very different backgrounds. And they're also, some of them don't know how to use an airbrush when they first get there. They're struggling with the amount of time they have, and they're developing ways to speed up their process. And you're seeing these painters come up with processes that have never been used before, and they're inventing them there on the spot. And they're really, it's a crunch for them. They're living together. They're completely cut off from their friends and family. They don't have internet access. They can't watch TV. And they're sleep deprived, and they start becoming emotional, as it goes in reality competition shows. And they start inventing ways to beat the clock and start coming up with these. You're watching artists, be imaginative. Kel Surprise. It's crazy.
What is it like working with Rupaul, who's one of the judges? Because he is pretty he was here recently. He's pretty fabulous.
He's amazing. He's amazing. It's an honor. It's an honor to get to work with him and spend as much time on set with him as I get to. He's a guru. He is wise beyond anybody's imagination, and beautiful, so beautiful. And I would take any piece of advice he ever gave me.
Like what? What has he said to you?
Well, his message has always been about being true to yourself, and he keeps on dishing out that same message. Every few years he comes out with a new album or a new book or a new way of sharing his message, and it's always wrapped in a different package, but it's the same message. And it's about being true to yourself, and it's about not being afraid of transformation, which is what our show is about, and embracing transformation. So I would say that anything that comes out, he's constantly, it's a gold mine. He's constantly dropping things that I'm like, huh, right, correct, right, Rupaul, I never thought of it
Let me
that
record
way.
that in my phone right
exactly.
now. And your daughters are in awe of him too, I understand.
My daughters are obsessed with him. They love the show. The most shocking thing about Skin Wars is that we do have a lot of nudity on the show, obviously. And if we get eyeballs on our show because people think they're going to watch a lot of naked bodies, fine with me. The show ultimately is not about the nudity. It's really about this fantastic artistry that comes out of it. And I'm shocked at how many families watch it. It's really become a solid family show. Even though it's a 10 p.m. show, it's a DVR show. And a lot of people watch it with their families, and I have a lot of friends whose kids are really getting into special effects makeup now and are very inspired by it. My kids love coming down to set and seeing the paintings in person and seeing the process in person, and they love hanging out with Ru. And they hang out with Ru a lot in his dressing room and then wonder why he can't come over for play dates.
Oh,
I'm like, because
poor little
it's
deprived
RuPaul.
twins.
I know.
Have they ever been painted? Had their faces painted on them?
Yes. I mean, not by our painters on the show, no. But they're constantly, with their friends, they're constantly painting each other's faces. It's becoming, they're both painters. They're better painters than I am, that's for sure.
My personal favorite episode was the one with the pregnant bellies. I thought that was just
Isn't that great?
That was so beautiful and so earthy and gorgeous.
Yeah.
What was yours?
Well, our producers do a fantastic job of coming up with new and creative challenges every season. My favorite challenges are always the camouflage challenges, where the painters have to blend their models into the background of wherever they are, be it nature. We did a grocery store. This season we have a toy store where they have to blend their models into the aisles of their toy store. Anything that tricks the eye are usually my favorite challenges. But this season, my two favorite challenges were an underwater challenge, which I didn't even know was possible. We did an underwater challenge.
How do you do that with the paint not coming
Well,
off?
they had to use special paint, and they had to make sure it was really well sealed. And also, our painters are allowed to use a certain amount of prosthetics. So some painters went to town with the prosthetics, which are generally made out of something very floatable, like foam, like styrofoam. And those models had a hard time staying submerged. Like, they were basically attaching pool floats to their floaties to their models, which was hilarious to watch. The other amazing challenge that we had, my other favorite challenge this season, is a breast cancer challenge where we brought in breast cancer survivors, young breast cancer survivors, who literally had not looked at themselves in the mirror since they had had their mastectomies. And the winner of that challenge had $10,000 donated in their name to the Young Survival Coalition. And these survivors they were painted into warriors. And when they saw themselves in the mirror for the first time, I mean, everyone was in tears. It was beautiful because it really is the transformation and the feeling you go through when you're painted and then you see it for the first time in the mirror. It does something to you.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was really moving.
For you, when you're the subject, when you're the one, the canvas.
Yep.
What's the toughest part of being painted?
Well, at this point, now that they've got it down to 4 or 5 hours, no part of it. I have a hard time staying still, just in life, just in general. So for me, that's the biggest challenge. You know, people assumed that when I was doing Mystique that I would just lay there and sleep for 9 hours. Not true. I had to be very actively involved. It's like, okay, get up, arms up, stand straight, legs up, bend over, spread them.
Seriously?
Uh-huh. The second you see skin, it kind of ruins the illusion.
Ain't no Mystique no more.
There's no more Mystique. You know what else there was no Mystique? With the times I used the bathroom. I left blue toilet seats behind me everywhere I went.
Did you really? I mean, that's actually a fascinating question. Did you have to time that precisely?
What? Going to the bathroom?
Bathroom and how much water you could consume during
No, I mean, I would watch how much water, so I wouldn't have to go to the bathroom all the time. But you know, like I said, a lot of it was prosthetics, and so before you even have to ask the question, I did a bathing suit tug aside to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
How do you guys prep the models on the show?
I always encourage them to not eat too much sugar because going on like a blood sugar roller coaster is the fastest way to make yourself sick by the end of the night. But you know, we've got Crafty on our sets and I can't help what's out there and available to them. So a lot of them just sit there eating candy all day long.
They get painted?
Yeah. And they're freezing. I mean, it's, you know, they've all got space heaters in front of them. A lot of them are very, very cold while they're getting painted. And where we're outside doing the camouflage challenges, they get very cold.
When you first got the offer to host the show, what went through your head?
Well, it wasn't something I was seeking out. I typically work in scripted television and movies, but I do love watching a reality competition show. I did want to see what it would be like to have a front row seat. Our producers are fantastic. They come from the creme de la creme of reality competition, and I knew it would be done well. I knew I would have something to offer on it. And I wanted to see if I would be as emotionally invested as I am when I'm sitting at home watching it on television. And I am, even more so. We all are. We get very wrapped up in the stories of our painters. And, you know, a real metamorphosis happens with our painters. We see this transformation happening from one challenge to the next with the models, but the transformation that's really happening is with these painters. They just open up. And we've got a few incredible storylines this season with some of our painters. And our painters they're special personalities. I mean, artists in general are special personalities. A lot of them do not have, most of them they're starving artists. They have no money. $100,000 means a lot to them. You know, we get very wrapped up in their stories.
And in terms of reality TV in general, I know you were saying earlier that you're a big fan of the competition-centric shows.
Yeah. Skill-based, we call them skill-based.
Oh,
shows.
skill-based, that's the fancy.
Yeah,
Good. I
fancy
like
word.
that
Yeah,
a lot.
skill-based.
That's really nice.
Uh-huh.
So what are some of the ones you watch?
Let's see. I watch all the design ones. I love watching Project Runway, Ellen's Design Challenge. I used to watch Survivor pretty religiously. I haven't lately. You know, you lose time. Everything ebbs and flows with children. I don't know. What other ones are there?
The Bachelor?
I do not watch The Bachelor.
That's really a stretch on skill-based, but
yeah, I wouldn't call that skill-based.
Are you super creative in your real life?
I personally am. I'm not a painter. My kids, all 4 of their grandparents are all painters. I am not a painter myself, but I consider myself a very creative person.
What kind of stuff do you guys do at home?
My kids paint a lot, so they've got a whole art table, and they're constantly creating things and making things. I sew. I mean, I've made a pretty extensive quilt. I've done some pretty extensive needlepoint. I'm really big into design, so I'm big on, just furniture and antiques and things like that. In terms of other mediums, artistically, I was a music major in college, so music is very important to me. I'm a miniatures enthusiast, so
Really?
Yes, the things you know. I built a dollhouse when I was in my 20s. It took me 5 years, like really elaborate dollhouse.
You built a dollhouse
Yes.
from scratch, so
yes.
to speak.
Yes.
Oh,
With
my God.
With like fully electrified tile floors, hardwood floors. I laid the bricks on the pathway with the stairs. I aged the shingles and stuck moss underneath them. My dad is a woodworker. My dad is a master craftsman, a furniture maker. So I love all that as
Where
well.
did you find miniaturized bricks?
Oh, they sell them.
They do.
Yes, they sell them. Yeah, it's a thing.
What I don't even. I feel like you need to come over to my house and start building.
In miniature?
Yeah, just miniaturize everything.
I love anything miniature. And it was something that was such a labor of love, but by the time I was done, I was like, okay, got that out of my system. Don't need to do that again.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
I did a needlepoint of my dog's face that took me 6 months straight, but it was during the writer's strike that happened a few years ago, and everybody was down for 6 months, and I was like, okay, no work for 6 months. What the hell am I going to do? I need to keep myself busier. So I started this needlepoint. It took me exactly 6 months.
Are you a total workaholic, or have you
I need to stay busy, or I feel anxious. Yeah.
So this show is doing incredibly well, and obviously that's a great thing. What else do you see yourself doing in the future?
Oh, I don't know. I greet every opportunity individually, and I try and stay as present as possible. And I've got this show, and I also have the scripted show that I work on, The Librarians. And then I'm a mother of 2, and it's so much to juggle. I don't think past that. But I'm always open.
What role, when you look back on your career, what role do you think really put you on the path that you're at now?
Oh. That's an interesting question. I would say Mystique, probably. But my personal favorite was Femme Fatale.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't say that set me up for this path that I'm on, because obviously I work in television primarily, which I love. I love working in TV. I'm a child of the 80s. I was a latchkey kid. I watched so much TV growing up, and I love working in television. I feel like we're in a golden age of television right now. I feel like there are really fun opportunities for men and women equally, and it's a fun place to work. I love working in scripted TV. It's a fast-paced schedule. Sometimes in movies they take days and days and days to shoot one scene, and it can be a little boring. And in television, the pace is much faster, and you feel this general sense of accomplishment at the end of each day.
It also seems like with kids, TV's probably more conducive.
Well, the other show that I shoot is in Portland, so I do leave my kids for 4 months out of the year. They come up sporadically, but I suffer a lot of mother's guilt when it comes to that, because I'm a terrible mother when I'm in production on that show. I'm not available to them.
Well, at least you do what you love, and you're sending them that message, and I think that's really
I
important.
do. I am doing what I love, and they love that show. They also love Skin Wars, and they've developed a very healthy sense of greed, and they want stuff, and so they know that mommy needs to work to make the money to buy the stuff, and so they're sort of on board. They're 7 years old, and they're able to...
Have they actually made the connection between
Yes.
like mommy going to work and me getting like
Yep.
new dolls or whatever?
No, I've explained it to them.
Rebecca, you rock. Because I feel like that's very important for them
No.
to have a tangible reason to not guilt you.
I feel guilty, so guilty, that I have to explain what's really going down so that they understand.
Are you professionally driven, do you think?
Yes.
You are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so.
Is there something you haven't achieved yet that you really want to do, whether it be directing or writing?
I would like to do more
producing?
producing. I mean, I'm a producer on this show, and I enjoy it. I like being very involved. I am not a judge on Skin Wars. I'm a host, but I have to drop my 2 cents whenever I can, because opinions are like belly buttons.
Everyone's got one.
So yeah.
What's the best advice that you've imparted on the artists?
On the artists, well, I am not the body painting expert. Craig Tracy and Robin Slonina, two of our judges, are the body painting
But
experts.
you're an entertainment expert.
I am an
Obviously,
entertainment expert.
that's-
You know, let's see. So I don't know. A lot of the time I encourage them to develop a real collaboration with their models because it's really important that the painters and the models collaborate. The models, if they're on board with the plan that the painters have, the models will help out the painters so much, it's not even funny. And so I always encourage the painters to really collaborate with their models.
And you've, as we discussed earlier, you've been painted quite a bit. If you guys could have any celebrity on the show as the human canvas, who would you want it to be?
We've had sumo wrestlers and bodybuilders and drag queens. We've been bringing all the queens from Drag Race for a challenge every season.
Rupaul.
Yep, which is really fun. I mean, I think I would love it if Ru got painted.
Would that ever happen?
I don't know. It's a lot to get him into drag these days. He'll do it.
And I guess also then who would paint him? The winner would have to paint him, right? That
Well,
would be
we
the only
had
fair
the
thing.
we had the winner of season 1 painting me and the runner-up from season 2 painting me. But we keep on bringing back all of our contestants to work out some of our press with us, and it's now become a family.
So are we throwing down the gauntlet for Ru right now?
I would love to.
Let's do it.
Yes, Ru, time to get painted, girl.
Great. We're going to start with a question from an online viewer.
Okay.
So Lauren would like to know, what do you look for in contestants who are applying to be on Skin Wars?
We're looking for people with a lot of artistic background, and a minor amount of body painting experience is very, very helpful. But we've been finding that people who come from varied mediums, backgrounds, do very well on our show. But man, the pressure, it's tough. The pressure is tough.
It's probably the toughest part would be dealing with the deadline. I guess the deadline.
The clock, beating the clock is the toughest part. And I have a lot of friends. I mean, even my makeup artist on the show, she's like, I want to try this. I want to be a contestant on this show. And then she watches the monitors. She's like, I don't know if I could do this. The things that they come up with for these challenges, just their minds they've got the artistic. You've got to have an artistic mind. Period.
And how the stuff doesn't rub off. That's the other thing. It's just
So it depends on if it's an alcohol-based body paint or a water-based body paint. I mean, when we were doing Sports Illustrated, we were using mostly water-based paints, which as soon as you get in the shower, it's gone.
Well, next question, please.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi.
I think you're the best Mystique, hands down. So
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say that. I know it takes like hours just to put up all that makeup. So what do you do to kind of kill time?
There is no killing time. We have to be very, very involved, very actively involved. There's a lot of helping.
So you can't even do an audiobook or anything like that?
No, because there were 4 makeup artists putting that costume on me every single time, and they needed to be able to communicate with each other. And I would come in, my call time would be midnight for a 9 a.m. call to set. So I would have to show up at midnight. And the first 2 hours of it, they would work on my back, and so I was able to sleep face down. And then after the first 2 hours, it was a lot of standing up and helping out.
And yet it looks so glamorous and fabulous on screen.
Well, that was what got me through it. I mean, honestly, every time they would finish it, I would look in the mirror and think and say, this is the most beautiful costume I've ever seen. And it really was, in person, such a spectacular costume. It required a lot of touching up. Like the prosthetics were constantly shifting, so you'd get like a halo of skin around the prosthetics, and it was a lot of re-gluing and repainting, and the glue had fumes that would give me headaches, and it was, should I tell the story I told you? No, okay, it's too gross. All right.
Next question, please.
Hey, Rebecca, welcome to AOL.
Thank you.
My question for you is, I know with a show like Skin Wars, all kinds of crazy and zaniness goes down. What are some moments that were too wild to show on television, particularly involving Rupaul?
Well, when we are sitting around waiting for paint to dry, we need to kill time. So we actually play a game called Dirty Charades, which we've been pitching to GSN. So far, they haven't bought it. But it's charades, but dirty charades. You have to change one word in the title that sort of rhymes. It's got to have the same amount of syllables. But like, for example, E.T. the extra testicle.
So like porn charades, basically.
Porn charades, dirty charades. And we spend hours playing dirty charades.
Just to ask the obvious follow-up, who wins? Like, who's the reigning champion?
Rue is the reigning champion.
Why am I
but
not
you've got to
surprised?
act it out. You've got to act out each and every word. Anal mountain high enough?
How's it going, Rebecca?
Hi.
Well, with the increase of like technology and like films and everything, like CGI, do you wish more movies nowadays would use practical effects? Or
Well, I mean, that's why we loved Mad Max this year, right? I mean, it was so refreshing to see a movie with all those stunts and all those effects done practical. Yeah, I think that CGI has ruined a certain amount of the experience. It's fun if you consider it like animation. But when you're watching effects and stunts happen on a practical level, it's more interesting, I think.
It just grabs you and takes you into the middle of the action. I think. At least it did with Mad Max. when I
Yeah,
saw it.
absolutely. Yeah.
It immerses you in it. And
Yeah.
the last question, please.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
How easy is it for you to pick up on each individual artist's distinctive style and techniques for painting?
It's funny, we at the top of every season, we get a sense of who's probably not going to last very long. We always try and predict who the winner is, and so far we have been 100% wrong every single season. But their styles, they all come in with their own individual styles, and their styles develop while we're there, and we see it. We see it happen. We see a lot of people really coming out of their shell. And it's really fun to watch.
And when can we watch it?
Wednesday night, 10 p.m., April 20th.
GSN.
GSN.
Thank you so much for being.
Thanks, guys.